So it's important today that you make sure that you have a blue and gold, because the exercise we're going to do in class is based on information on the blue and gold. Is there anybody in the room who does not yet have a blue and gold? Okay. So can we get a couple people to help Moon run around with these things? We've got to make sure everybody has one. So put your hand up really high if you don't have a blue and gold. We'll get to that piece in about 20 minutes. There's some folks. You can come up and pick one up here while they're running around. Alrighty. And we're here. And the music's off. You still have your helmet on. Awesome. All right, we're going to start with a couple clicker questions just to do a little recap of the investment exercise that you did in section. You all now, well, many of you now own food trucks. Did you name your food truck company, those of you who had food trucks? Yes, awesome. Good. All right, here we go. Shh. And first one. What happens to investment spending when interest rates fall? Investment increases, we move along an investment demand curve. Investment increases, it shifts the demand curve. Investment decreases, move along. Investment decreases, shift up. So what's the direction, and is it a shift or a movement along? A, B, C, D, or E? 3 seconds. Counting 1, counting 2, and 3. Good. All right. So most of you got that whoopsie, wrong button. Sorry, my bad. Ink color, choose a color. Good. Most of you got that investment increases. Lower interest rates mean some previously profitable projects, lower interest rates mean some projects that previously had been unprofitable will now be profitable and will be undertaken. Interest rates, remember, is measured on the vertical axis of the investment demand curve. If whatever we're talking about is measured on one of the axes and it changes, we move along the existing curve. Correct answer here is A. 37% get a big happy face, although the overall is a not quite so happy face. 46% more got the investment increases, but you thought it was a shift instead of a movement along. So remember the rule. If whatever we're talking about is measured on one of the two axes and it changes, we move along whatever the curve is. If I'm talking about a movement of investment in response to interest rates, that's what we're showing with that downward sloping line. Let's try the next one. What happens to investment spending when expected sales decline? A, B, C, D, or E, same 4 options, or 5 options. What happens to investment spending when expected sales decline? Your estimate of how many tacos you can sell out of your food truck drops because people stop buying at food trucks. 3 seconds, 1001, 1002, and 3. Good, sort of. We got 96% of people identified that it was a decrease in investment spending. Are expected sales measured on the vertical axis, yes or no? What's measured on the vertical axis? Interest rates. And so the change in expected sales is not measured on the vertical axis, and therefore when a change in expected sales happens, that's going to shift the entire demand curve. D is the right answer, 67% get the full happy face. All right, let's remember the graph of the investment demand curve. Interest rates, lowercase I on the vertical axis. Investment spending, we use uppercase I for investment spending. C plus I plus G, investment spending is on the horizontal axis. And our investment demand curve is a downward sloping line. It does not matter whether you draw it as a straight line or a not straight line. What matters is that it has a downward slope. And that investment demand curve is telling us that at some interest rate, I sub 1, so choose some interest rate along your vertical axis, measure it, call it I sub 1, dash it over, dash it down. That interest rate I sub 1 corresponds to a total amount of investment spending, that is purchases of machinery and construction of new buildings plus changes in the value of inventory holdings, equal to the dollars measured there along the horizontal axis of uppercase I1. If interest rates were to fall, choose some second interest rate, call it I2, along your vertical axis. The investment demand curve tells us that at that new lower interest rate, there'd be a higher level of investment spending, which we measure along that axis as I2. If something other than interest rates changes, something that affects investment spending, changes, then we're going to shift the entire investment demand curve. So for instance, if there is a decrease in expected sales, that decrease, whoops, sorry, move my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. There. That decrease in expected sales means at every possible interest rate, there's going to be a lower amount of investment spending. Fewer purchases of food trucks will be profitable, and therefore there will be fewer purchases of food trucks. A decrease in expected sales takes the entire investment demand curve and shifts it to the left. All right, so if you got through the whole food truck game on Wednesday and Thursday, you did all of these steps. I didn't think you'd get through all 6 rounds, and so your GSIs were picking and choosing which rounds to do. The drop in expected sales, we just saw that shifts the investment demand curve to the left and causes a decrease in the total number of dollars spent on investment goods. If there's an increase in expected energy costs or any of the other costs that were going into the process of producing food that you were selling out of your food truck, that also is going to shift the investment demand curve to the left and decrease the amount of dollars spent on machinery and construction and changes in inventory holding. If interest rates fall, that's going to move us along the investment demand curve and show us an increase in investment spending. As interest rates decline, some previously unprofitable projects are now profitable and will be undertaken. There'll be more food trucks purchased, more buildings built, and so on, an increase in investment spending as we move along an existing investment demand curve. And finally, if banks refuse to lend. Now, in the game that you did in section on Wednesday and Thursday, your bankers were always willing to lend if you were willing to accept the terms that they were offering. There's another possibility. Another possibility is you could have had a group of bankers that had an anxiety attack, a nervous breakdown, and fear reigned supreme, and they could have said, oh, I don't want to lend anymore. It's too stressful. And that's what happened in the credit crisis. Not exactly in those terms and tone, but that's what happened in the credit crisis that began in 2007 and really took off in 2008. We had banks that had money to lend. There were projects being presented to the banks that were profitable projects at the prevailing interest rates. You would expect, therefore, the bankers who were in the business of making profit by making loans would have made loans to those businesses that had profitable opportunities, profitable projects that they were trying to fund. But the bankers, so freaked out by the crisis that had happened in the fall of 2007 and the fall of starting December 2007. I'm going to give you the whole scenario on the crisis after the midterm. I'm not going to do the whole story until after the midterm. But anyway, the banks were so freaked out that they just said, no, go away. I can't lend anymore. It's too scary. Are they gone? Oh, make them go away. It's too scary. And so the banks refused to lend. That shifts the investment demand curve to the left. When the banks refuse to lend at prevailing interest rates, there are people who have businesses that have profitable projects. They can't find anybody to lend to them. It causes a decrease in investment spending. That's the essence of what we call a credit crisis. So a credit crisis or a financial crisis, the essence of that is we've got markets that don't clear. We're out of equilibrium. That market failure that we talked about in the first or second part of the course permeates these financial markets. That's the essence of a financial crisis or a credit crisis, is when market failure, as we talked about before, permeates these markets where they are unwilling to lend. There's a long backstory. I'm going to give you the long backstory. I'm not going to give you the long backstory today. Okay? It's really fun. I'll tell it to you. We're going to have AIG and all sorts of other things as part of our story. I'm going to give you that story after November 19th. So I'm pacing myself and not doing the story today because we have other things to do. But the essence of it is asymmetric information problems in those financial markets. So you've talked about asymmetric information. You know about adverse selection. When the lenders are faced with a pool of potential borrowers that is an adverse or bad selection of the population, and they have difficulty figuring out who is a good and a bad borrower. Asymmetric problems in financial markets also are characterized by moral hazard. So moral hazard, when after the contract is signed, the behavior can change, increasing the risk of default. Typically, there are solutions to these asymmetric information problems that allow these markets to function. So in the solutions to the previous problem set, there's a long description about how kin networks and other social networks can address these asymmetric information problems and allow financial markets to function. What happened in 2008, 2009 is these asymmetric information problems in financial markets overwhelmed the financial markets of not just the United States, but of the developed world, and they seized up and stopped functioning. That's the essence of a credit crisis, and it was a credit crisis that led to a shift of the investment demand curve. So we have the summary: interest rates matter to investment spending, expected rates of return matter to investment spending, the expected sales and the expected costs both go into calculating that expected rate of return. And the third thing, very unusual but very important for understanding the 2007-2009 downturn, is the credit crisis and the availability of credit. So the decrease in credit availability that characterized the fall of 2008 was an important factor in explaining the drop in investment spending that really sucker punched the United States economy in 2008. All right, so we looked at investment spending because we're asking a question about unemployment. Remember, our primary question at this point is what determines unemployment? Unemployment, we saw, depends ultimately upon aggregate demand, because aggregate demand determines how much output is produced. How much output is produced determines how much employment there is. How much employment there is determines how much unemployment there is. And so if we want to understand what determines why the unemployment rate is sometimes 25%, sometimes 10%, and most recently on Friday, 5.8%, we really have to look at aggregate demand. And aggregate demand is going to give us our answer to why the unemployment rate fluctuates. Remember, the aggregate demand is the sum of four components. We have consumption spending by households. We've looked at that. Consumption spending depends upon disposable income, wealth, credit availability, interest rates maybe, because there's contrasting effects of interest rates and expectations. Disposable income changes not only when income changes, but also if there's a change in taxes or transfers. We've now talked about investment spending. We did that last week, and you did the game in section, and we just summarized it now. Investment spending depends primarily upon interest rates and expected rates of return, and in really weird situations like the 2007-2009 downturn, depends upon a credit crisis or credit availability. Starting Wednesday, we'll look at the role of government spending, the G of C plus I plus G, or on Wednesday, we'll look at the role of government spending, the third of our components of aggregate demand. And then next Monday, we'll look at net exports, the role of exports and imports, and the determinants of what changes exports and imports. We'll do that on Monday the 17th. And then on the 19th, we have the short midterm 3. All right, clicker question. This one I think we'll get 100% on. I hope. If investment spending falls by $300 billion per quarter, real GDP will fall by, yes, you've seen this before, A, $300 billion per quarter, B, more than $300 billion per quarter, C, less than $300 billion per quarter, D, some amount that you can't say how much, E, I don't know. A, B, C, D, or E. 3 seconds. I know, you've seen this one. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Ow! How could that be? 92%. What's happening with the other 8%? I don't know. You answered this question on the B course quiz that was due last night, that an initial change in aggregate demand gives rise to a total change in income that's greater than the initial change in income. And so if there was a drop in investment spending of $300 billion, that would cause real GDP to fall in the end by some amount greater than $300 billion. Let's look at why. So instead of that clicker question, let me change the question because I have a different example I'm going to run through. What happens to equilibrium output if planned spending, that is to say aggregate demand, increases initially by 100? Let me put some units on it to make it realistic, 100 billion per month. Well, we know that any initial change in spending, this is the concept of the multiplier that you talked about or that you clicked answers about in the B course quiz last night. Any initial change in spending results in a much larger change in equilibrium income because first, a change in spending gives rise to a change in output. So if there is, for instance, let's stick with investment. Suppose there is an increase of $100 billion per month in purchases of food trucks. That's the change in spending. Then $100 billion per month of food trucks need to be manufactured. That's the change in output. So when spending changes, the people are purchasing things, those things are the output. That change in output, that $100 billion worth of food trucks, well, the people who produce those food trucks, they get paid, whether those are the workers on the line or the owners of the factory, be they the personal owners or the shareholders, the owners of the factory. So the change in output is going to give rise to a change in income for all of the people involved in the process of producing that output. And in that round, that change in output and change in income will be equal. So there'll be $100 billion more worth of income for all of the people involved in producing that $100 billion worth of food trucks. And when people have more income, that of course increases their disposable income, and disposable income is one of the primary determinants of consumption spending. And so the increase in income gives rise to a change in disposable income that gives rise to a change in consumption spending. All the people who are employed producing food trucks now have more income, and they go shopping. And that change in consumption spending is a change in spending, which gives rise to a change in output. So the people who are producing the food trucks are going to go shopping. They're going to buy, say, washing machines. That means more washing machines need to be produced. There's more income for the people who produce the washing machines. More income. They're going to go shopping. The people who go shopping, that is, the people who produce the food trucks. No, they produce the washing machines that were bought by the people who produce the food trucks. They're going to go out. They're going to go shopping. I don't know. What are they going to buy? They're going to buy some new clothes. That means those clothes need to be produced, which means there's more income for the people who produce the clothes. When people have more income, they go shopping. And so there's some initial change in spending that gives rise to round after round after round of changes in output, changes in income, and changes in spending. The total change in income as a result of that process is the sum of all the changes in income in each round. It's the sum of the change in income for the food truck producers plus the change in income for the washing machine producers plus the change in income for the, what was next, clothing producers plus the change in income for whomever else is next. That's the story of the multiplier. We can see it in a graph. Aggregate demand on the vertical axis, income on the horizontal axis. Draw some upward sloping but not terribly steep aggregate demand line. I'll call it AD1. To find equilibrium, we need a 45-degree line. So, 45-degree line on your line. Every point on your graph, every point on that 45-degree line is a possible equilibrium, macroequilibrium, the one and only macroequilibrium for an economy described by that aggregate demand line 81 is where those things intersect. Dash it down. Call it Y1 star. We'll put a star there for happiness. That's the equilibrium amount of output that's produced in an economy that has aggregate demand described by that line 81. Now suppose that there is some initial increase in spending. Suppose there is a $100 billion per month increase in the amount of purchases of machinery. That's going to take and shift the aggregate demand line up. The vertical distance between the two aggregate demand lines, that's the initial change in spending. In our case, that's the $100 billion per month that's now going to be spent on food trucks. But because the increase in spending for food trucks also generates spending for washing machines and clothes and other kinds of things that we buy, when we find the new equilibrium, find where AD2 crosses your 45-degree line and dash it down, call it Y2 star, the total change in income, that is the distance between Y1 star and Y2 star, the total change in income is much greater than the initial change in spending that kicked off the multiplier process and gave us round after round after round of changes in output, changes in income, and changes in spending. Or we can see the multiplier process this way. That's an ad from the I believe, looking at this wonderful tile, or linoleum here, under his feet. I had this very linoleum in a place that I lived in, and I think it was laid down in about 1949. So we're going to say this ad is from about 1949 because of that linoleum. This is an ad from the late 1940s. When you buy an automobile, you give 3 months' work to someone. These days, remember I told you at the Honda factory, if you buy an automobile, it took, what did it take, 16 hours to produce one automobile. But if you buy an automobile, you give 3 months' work to someone, and here's the multiplier part, which allows him to buy other products. You give somebody some income, generates round after round after round of changes in output, changes in income, changes in spending. Let's see. Oh, I already did that part. All right, so let's do it ourselves. On your, whoops, wrong button. Off, there. All right, you've got a blue and gold sheet. At the bottom of your blue and gold sheet in a box is listed your occupation and industry, and it's listed your monthly disposable income. Remember, that's income plus transfers minus taxes, and it's listed your monthly consumption spending. First step, step 1. I want you to calculate your monthly saving. So use the numbers there on your blue and gold sheet and calculate your monthly saving. Remember that saving is disposable income minus consumption. So with the numbers that you've got there on the bottom, go ahead and calculate your monthly saving. Should be pretty straightforward. Let me grab one. Oof. First, I see. Yes, first you have to calculate your disposable income minus net taxes, and then calculate your monthly saving. All right, you're all good on that? Straightforward? Fingers, toes, count your nose, you got it done? Does anybody else still need a blue and gold? Hands up if you need a blue and gold. GSIs, can we fill in some of those holes? There's some people over there. Keep your hand up and they'll bring around you a blue and gold. All right, step 2. On the front of your blue and gold sheet, it shows you how much your consumption spending is per month. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4th line. Okay, it shows you what your consumption spending is per month. I want you to take and allocate that consumption spending across these 9 categories. All right, so you have a total. The total of the numbers you put in those 9 categories has to equal the total on the front of your blue and gold. So housing, let me give you some estimates for those of you who don't have any idea what housing is. If you have a mortgage on a house, if you have a $300,000 mortgage on a house, that's about $1,600 a month in mortgage plus interest payments. Then you have to pay taxes on top of that, so add another $800 to $1,000 a month for taxes and insurance. So if you have a house, a $300,000 mortgage on a house, so that means you're buying a house in the Bay Area for $400,000 and some odd with a $150,000 down payment. You're looking at about $2,500 a month, $2,500 a month for housing. Apartments, how much GSIs? Y'all live in apartments. How much is an apartment in Berkeley? 25 for a 1-bedroom or a studio? For a studio, 700 a room. Okay, so apartment in Berkeley, they're saying is around $700 a room. So if you had a living room and a bedroom, it'd be like $1,500, right? If you had just a studio and a bathroom and a little kitchenette, it'd be like under $1,000. Okay, all right. So that gives you an idea on housing. Figure that food is usually around a third, 30% to a third of your total budget. So food is usually about 30% to 1/3 of what you spend. A little lower percentage if you're a high income person, perhaps a little higher percentage if you have a low income. Eating out and travel, you can budget that. The car, if you have a car payment, you're probably looking at $300 to $500 per month in a car payment plus the insurance costs. Other durable goods, any electronics that you want to buy, appliances, other things. Shopping, you're going to go to Costco, Target, that sort of place, Macy's, whatever, Bancroft clothing. Healthcare, you need to include your healthcare premium. Your healthcare premium is going to be somewhat proportional to your income. So if you have relatively low income, you're likely to have be covered through Covered California if you're here in California, and your out-of-pocket insurance premium is likely to be relatively low. If you have a high income, your insurance premium is going to be relatively high. My income for 3 people health insurance, I think I pay $350 a month for the health insurance for the 3 of us. I think it's going up to like $375 or $380. Education, and bank fees, ATM fees, lawyers, all that kind of good stuff. And then your numbers need to add up to your total consumption that was on the front of your blue and gold. Let me walk around and see how people are doing on this project. What's your total? So you're a worker in construction. You're spending $1,800 a month. So you're not getting one of those $2,500 a month houses, right? No. So let's see. She's a worker in construction. You're a worker in the restaurant industry. Oh, your monthly consumption is $1,400 a month. Ooh, yeah, negative saving. That's not good. What's yours? You're a worker in farming. So with income monthly consumption of $1,700. Okay, so that's not going to get you one of those nice houses. Where's somebody who's going to be able to get one of those nice houses? What do we have? Who do we have over here? You're a teacher in education. Teachers in education, pretty good, making $4,000 a month. What do you have? An aide in healthcare. Ooh, $1,400 a month in spending. I know there's some good ones here. Restaurant owner, worker in consumer goods. Is anybody in the financial industry? Oh, here we got somebody. What's your job? You're a worker in the financial industry. Okay, that's not bad. How much are you making? $4,000 a month. Not bad, not bad. Anybody else in the financial industry? Yeah, how much are you making a month?